princess would skewer him with the poker if she knew what he was contemplating. He turned his head aside, giving her all the modesty he could as he reached his hands under her skirts, fumbling with the ribbon of her garter. "I'm sorry." She couldn't hear him, but just saying the words made him feel less of a cad. He tugged the dark wool off her toes. The skin was red and like wax to touch, but it was only frostnip, not yet frostbite. "You mustn't. Giant calling." Her words were so slurred he struggled to understand them. "I'll bear that in mind, Princess." Of all the idiotic things he had done, tonight's escapade was the worst. The carriage had barely made it to the posting house. Instead of thanking God for the solid roof and warm fire, Benedict had left the carriage and its driver to go the last mile home on horseback. He'd promised his sister he'd be home tonight, after a month away. Instead, he was stuck. Feeling was slowly returning to his body, if not warmth. He covered Lady Amelia in his coat, and then staggered to the bench that ran along the edge of the room. There was a kettle filled with water, sloshy and semi-frozen. He dumped a small amount of tea inside, grabbed 2 mugs with his other hand and staggered back to the fire. The intensifying flame was the best damn thing he'd ever seen. He hung the kettle from an iron hook and turned back to his biggest problem. She couldn't stay on the floor. There was a large worn armchair in the corner. He moved it in front of the hearth, as close as he dared. What she needed was heat, and fast. But the fire hadn't taken a chink out of the bitter shroud of the room. There was one thing he could do, but damn, she was going to flay him alive when she woke. He took off his jacket, pulled his shirt over his head, and picked her up off the floor. He settled into the armchair, holding her against his naked chest, his bare arms resting along the length of hers. His body heat had to work. The cold air was whip-like against his skin, and goosebumps covered his arms. Think warm thoughts, a steam engine furnace, a hot bath, a warm brick under his bedsheets, a warm woman under his bedsheets. He looked down at the chit on his lap. Lady Amelia Crofton, diamond of the ton, leader of the fashionable set, cold as the ice shards on the window, and Wildford's bloody fiancé. Damn, this was a mess. He exhaled hard, trying to steady his shivering through slow, even breaths. "That's not what I asked for." Lady Amelia's eyes flickered, but failed to open. "I said blue." His laugh was shaky. "Well, tonight's not what I asked for either, and I'm partial to grey." Her eyes fluttered open. The deep jade green caught the light of the fire. "Put it under the horse." He snorted. Even half dead she was giving orders. But he would take them, if it meant she would live. Her eyes closed again, the long dark lashes resting against pale skin. "You're welcome, by the way." Her grunt was accompanied by a soft sigh, as innocent as a babe, if you were fool enough to believe it. "Why the devil were you travelling alone?" The snow had been so deep around the broken-down carriage that only a glint of metal from the wheel had given any hint that someone might be in trouble. There was no response, just a twitch of her nose. After a few minutes, warmth finally travelled up his legs. It was a superficial heat, not the bone-deep warmth that came from a hard day's work, but hopefully it was enough to warm her. "Lemonade." She put a hand on his thigh and pushed herself up, faltering on her weak legs toward the fire. His heart leapt to his throat as he lurched up and grabbed her dress, jerking her backward before she could fall into the flames. A dozen buttons popped free and scattered across the floor. "You will be the bloody death of me." He manoeuvred her back to the chair, slumping her over it, her limbs sprawled like a green boy's after his first trip to the pub. Not taking any more chances, he dragged the chair farther from the flames. "I'll get you your damn lemonade," he muttered, turning back to the boiling kettle. Using the tongs by the fire, he poured tea.